It was 3 loud bangs, and it was just really, really quick, all in a row. It was close to 2 o'clock in the morning, and it was pretty frightening to wake up to.
Residents left reeling after 2 teens were shot in the Flemingdon Park neighborhood. Police now on the hunt for suspects. Good afternoon. No arrests yet after gunshots rang out early this morning along a residential street.
The 2 teens are in hospital in serious condition, but they are expected to survive. CTV's Mike Walker is live at the scene this afternoon with the very latest. Mike.
Well, Michelle and Nathan, this double shooting happened outside the apartment buildings behind me. Police cleared the scene a short time ago, but this is still a very active investigation. Now, this shooting happened shortly before 2 this morning in this residential area near Don Mills and St. Denis Drive. When officers arrived, they found a 17-year-old boy and an 18-year-old man with gunshot wounds. Paramedics confirmed both were taken to hospital with serious but non-life-threatening injuries. Now, there are still a lot of questions about the circumstances that led to this shooting. This morning, investigators were seen collecting evidence, really focusing on an area near the electrical box and dumpsters outside one apartment building. Police confirmed the Guns and Gangs unit will be investigating. We spoke with some people who live in the area, and they tell us they were startled out of bed by the violent sounds of gunshots.
It was 3 loud bangs, and it was just really, really quick, all in a row. It was close to 2 o'clock in the morning, and it was pretty frightening to wake up to. So sad what's happening out there right now. I mean, like, this isn't the first time, and yeah, it makes me feel a little bit unsafe and really sad for the family and the victims.
Seeing these types of activities, it does concern me greatly. I don't want to be caught in crossfire. I don't want to be, hurt, and seeing this type of behavior is not acceptable.
Now, this morning, police were canvassing the area for witnesses and surveillance video. At this point, police have not released any descriptions about the suspects, but did say they took off from the scene in a dark-colored vehicle. Reporting live, I'm Mike Walker. Nathan, back to you.
Thank you, Mike. And police are also investigating a shooting in North York. They were called to the Jane and Driftwood area just before 10:30 last night for the sound of gunshots. When they arrived on scene, they found a 23-year-old man with a gunshot wound. He was rushed to hospital with life-threatening injuries, but police say he's now in stable condition. Police have not released a suspect description yet.
It was a messy morning commute on the westbound 401 in Scarborough after an overnight crash. At about 1 a.m., police say a tow truck hauling a tractor-trailer crashed into a concrete wall near Nielsen Road. The tractor-trailer then flipped and a fire started, sending the driver to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Officers also laid a charge of careless driving. Some westbound collector lanes reopened a bit before 10 a.m. as the cleanup and investigation continue.
Still ahead on CTV News at noon, a brazen robbery at a cell phone store in Etobicoke caught on security camera. We have more on the investigation coming up a little later in the newscast.
But first, let's take our first look at the forecast. A live shot at the lake. Not looking too bad this hour, but there is some rain on this Thursday. And boy, oh boy, Lindsay Morrison, it feels a lot cooler.
It sure does, Michelle. And we need the rain. We want to talk about that part of the weather story, too. This is going to be good for lawns and gardens. Here it comes. The wet weather approaching from the northwest, about to soak parts of the GTA. It's been raining a good portion of the morning east of Georgian Bay. And Environment Canada has a special weather statement from London to Windsor, warning of heavy rainfall today with an embedded thunderstorm. So lots going on as far as the active weather is concerned. We're dealing with an east wind today, which isn't overly strong right now, but it is going to strengthen. And boy, is it cooler out there. As Michelle mentioned, 19 degrees right now in Toronto, feeling like 22. The heat is still on across southwest Ontario, so that will help fuel some of those thunderstorms. And you're going to find it even cooler in places like Oakville and Burlington right now, 17 degrees. We're going to struggle to make it to around 23 for a high today. In fact, we've already reached our daytime high. It happened overnight. An unsettled day, and then tomorrow we're going to talk about the risk of thunderstorms here at home. We'll take you through the forecast coming up. For now, though, Michelle, back to you.
Thanks, Lindsay. Well, police are searching for multiple suspects in a smash-and-grab robbery at a cell phone store.
The robbery was caught on camera, a terrifying ordeal for the shop employee who says this isn't the first time the store has been targeted. CTV's Leathong has the story.
They arrive in an instant, Pushing through the gate of a Freedom Mobile location, 3 men, one holding a hammer. The store clerk runs out using another door.
I saw them coming in because I knew they are trying to rob me, and this has happened like 4 times in 3 months.
We spoke to the clerk, who did not want his face shown on camera. After the clerk leaves the store, the security footage provided to CTV News shows the 3 men heading straight for the back, kicking open a door. They try the safe. Then they settle for a few cell phones before running out to a waiting vehicle. The clerk called 911. He says this is the 4th robbery attempt in the past 3 months at this location.
I feel scared sometimes because last time it happened with a gun, the gun armed robbery, and then they put a gun on me, and then one of my customers as well. But last time they assaulted me too. They punched on my, so this time I didn't give them the chance to actually do anything.
The clerk left the store quickly because he has so much experience with robberies, knowing the thieves can't access much without him inside.
Last time they took our cash and the dummies of the store. Before that, they took all the phones.
Located in a plaza at the southeast corner of Kipling and the Queensway, police quickly responded and closed off the area. Debris from the broken gate was clearly visible. According to the clerk, robbery attempts have become so frequent here that they'll sometimes lock the door, asking customers to ring the bell.
So even the customers have to face inconvenience because they always have to ring the bell or knock the doors, right? It feels like bad. I feel bad for them because they are just like a normal shoppers, right?
Police remained on scene for the investigation while the store clerk is asking for help in the future.
I want probably the police commissioner to listen to this and maybe put up patrolling or something in the parking lot. It's scary.
He says it's possible that these are the same people who have robbed this store in the past.
Leathong, CTV News.
Meanwhile, Toronto police are urging the public to be vigilant after seeing a spike in cell phone thefts at festivals. Police say there's been an increase in complaints about pickpockets targeting phones at festivals throughout 14 Division over the last 2 months. Phones are being stolen from bags, backpacks, pockets, and purses. Police say you should keep your phone close to your body, but don't put it in your back pocket where it can be easily stolen.
A Mississauga man is facing child pornography and sexual assault charges related to an alleged incident involving a young girl. Peel police released this photo of 70-year-old Donald Levesque. Police allege Levesque sexually assaulted and took intimate images of a 12-year-old girl, or a girl under 12, on Saturday near Bromsgrove Road and South Down Road. Investigators say Levesque also has ties to Toronto, Hamilton, and St. Catharines and believe there may be other victims. They're asking anyone with information to contact police or Crime Stoppers. Meanwhile, the York Region District School Board is investigating after what it calls inappropriate content was emailed to students. The YRDSB says a Google document was shared with the accounts that let students access the board's Google Education site. Officials say some students then replied all with messages that included hateful language. The board says it takes the matter seriously and those involved could face discipline. Police are also conducting a separate probe.
Staying in York Region, police are now investigating an alleged violent threat made in connection with a girls' soccer game. This follows a game between Kleinburg Nobleton Soccer Club and Glen Shield Juventus FC last Friday. KNSC says a parent of a player on the opposing team threatened to stab one of their own players. Juventus says it categorically rejects that version of events, as Ontario Soccer says it's taking the allegations very seriously. Our online team has some additional details on the story, including what police have said about their investigation. You can find the coverage at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
In Washington, the U.S. Defense Secretary is again disputing a leaked report that indicates Saturday's attacks on Iranian nuclear facilities were not as damaging as the government says.
How about the Israeli Atomic Energy Commission? The devastating U.S. strikes on Fordow destroyed the site's critical infrastructure and rendered the enrichment facility inoperable. Here's the head of the UN Atomic Energy Agency this morning, Rafael Grossi. U.S. and Israeli strikes caused enormous damage to Iran's nuclear sites. Don't take my word for it. How about the IDF's chief of staff? I can say here that the assessment is that we significantly damaged the nuclear program, setting it back by years. I repeat, years.
Pete Hegseth called the strikes on the 3 Iranian sites an historically successful attack. He says the leaked report was an early preliminary assessment from the Defense Intelligence Agency and said the report acknowledged there was low confidence and gaps in information. It said the strikes caused significant damage, but the sites were not totally destroyed and that Tehran's nuclear program was only set back by a few months. Trump officials are giving their first classified briefing to Congress on the attacks today.
Canada's Foreign Affairs Minister says Iran and Israel need to return to the negotiating table, and that would include transparency about Tehran's nuclear program.
We also need to ensure that there is respect for civilian lives at every turn. And in that respect, we'll continue to ensure that we have services available for Canadians throughout the region as they seek to leave the region or as they seek to have some support from the Government of Canada.
Anita Anand spoke this morning in Berlin, where she met with her German counterpart. Global Affairs says it brought 7 Canadians out of Israel and the West Bank to Jordan on buses offered yesterday. Earlier this week, a chartered flight from Jordan left for Athens, with Canadians filling just 95 of the 265 seats Ottawa had arranged. The agency is aware of 800 Canadians leaving Israel, Iran, and the West Bank combined.
The University of Toronto is opening its doors to international students from Harvard as U.S. President Donald Trump tries to cut off enrollment of foreign students at the Ivy League school. The Munk School of Global Affairs and Public Policy at U of T says it will welcome returning international grad students from Harvard if they're unable to be in the U.S. because of visa restrictions. U of T says this will not reduce the number of spaces available for its students. Trump's been warring with Harvard for months after it rejected a series of demands meant to address conservative complaints that the school has become too liberal.
The first astronauts in more than 40 years from India, Poland, and Hungary have arrived at the International Space Station. The private flight docked at the orbiting lab today after lifting off from the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. The crew will spend 2 weeks in space performing dozens of experiments. No one has ever visited the space station from any of the 3 countries. It is the 4th flight to the outpost arranged by Axiom since 2022. The Houston company is one of several developing their own space stations, expected to launch in the coming years.
Up close with a massive moose, a Vancouver couple shared its close encounter during a journey to the Rockies. Kelly Paxian and her husband were driving through Jasper National Park June 22nd when they noticed the moose on the side of the road. The visitor came right up alongside the car and even stuck his nose inside the open passenger window. Paxian says she's seen moose on that road before, but never anything quite like this, and I'm sure this close. She'd encourage others to roll their windows up if a moose ever gets that close.
A 9-year-old girl from Toronto is getting ready to compete on the international stage with Lego. She's attempting to become the first ever global mini master mold builder, and she's at Legoland in Vaughan. So too is our Jessica Smith. Jess, this sounds so cool. I've never met a kid who doesn't like Lego, and to think that one from our city could be a master. Tell us more.
Honestly, Michelle, it is so incredibly cool, and she is the most talented young lady I think I have ever met. This is Olivia vying for that title. Talk to me about your display here, because it's got all those essential pieces of Toronto.
So, well, I love baseball, so I did like a baseball theme. So here's the baseball diamond. The Blue Jays are playing against some other team. I did a baseball glove because you need a baseball glove to play baseball.
Obviously.
Yeah, obviously. And there's a little me there, not sure if you noticed. That's in my soccer jersey because I also play soccer. And here's here's a Blue Jay taking off.
So what inspired you to take part in this competition? Because it is happening around the world, and you're representing Toronto, which is so cool, but what inspired you to want to compete?
Well, I saw Noel before this competition, and I saw that he got to play with Legos all day and get paid for it, and that's pretty cool, so I wanted to do that.
Speaking of Noah, I'm going to switch sides with you here, Miss Olivia. Talk to me about how this all came about, because you have so many kids who love Lego. The Legoland is full right now. You have Olivia representing Toronto. Yep. How proud are you?
Very proud. She's done an amazing job, as you can see. I mean, it looks incredible. She was one of 64 people that applied here at the Discovery Centre for the Mini Master Builder of Toronto. I picked her. She actually built this, if I want to show that off really quick. This is the build that she made, and I loved how just it looks like a penguin, very simple but very elegant at the same time, and she was a perfect person for that. So I picked her, and then we just got started building. Yeah, I helped her out with a couple things, but all of this is mostly her.
How big is this competition? Because it's not just, here in Ontario. This is a global thing.
Yeah, so we are in Toronto. We're at the Vaughan Mills Mall, Legoland Discovery Centre, but there's actually 28 different Discovery Centres worldwide, and each one of them has their own mini master builder who is building something based on the area that they live in, and then all of these models will end up going to Denmark, of all places, the Lego house in Denmark, which is amazing, and we'll get judged, so they will all get judged by the team there, and hopefully Olivia is our first global mini master builder.
We're not going to say if, but when you become the global mini master builder, how excited are you going to be? Because this is cool. You're representing not only your city, but the country.
I'll be very excited. Actually, I'll probably fly over there to check out my build.
For other kids who are thinking, okay, I've watched her, this is really cool, I feel kind of inspired, but I'm nervous, what would you say to them?
Just have fun. The competition is just about building.
So looking at your display, this is very intricate. Inside of the Rogers Centre, you've got little mini versions of your family. How long did it take to put all this together? Because I feel like this doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah. It took about 1 month and 1.5 months. Yeah.
Listen, it took 1.5 months, but you've stolen my heart in 1.5 seconds. This is so cool. I'm going to send things back inside to Lindsay. It's not a great, forecast today, Lindsay, for being outside, but you know what? We're going to stay inside. We're going to keep chatting with Olivia and Noel. I'm going to send things back inside to you.
Thanks very much, Jess. Hey, enjoy the Discovery Centre. I don't know if you know this, but there's actually a CTV News Lego helicopter, if you want to check it out, over the Lego display of the city of Toronto. So fun fact for you, our heat wave is now in the rear view mirror, but here's a look at the numbers. A reminder, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday were especially hot. Yesterday was still quite warm, but no records broken. That's probably a nice change for so many. And then today's high is about 23 degrees. So this is a difference. It is cooler, it is cloudier, and it's a little unsettled, especially this afternoon. The evening looks a little better if you're hoping to maybe hit up a patio, just a chance of showers, and then tomorrow we're going to watch for the risk of some strong thunderstorms. The weekend brings improvements. It will be drier, and we're going to get into some sunshine again through Sunday. A look at the weekend forecast is coming up after this break here on CTV News at noon.
When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400 from your screen to ours. Text 10400.
Findings from a survey released by the Canadian Institute for Health Information show it's very difficult for older adults to access primary care. The 2024 Commonwealth Fund survey found 8% of adults aged 65 and older in Canada reported not having a primary care doctor or a place they usually go to receive primary care. The survey also looked at the mental health of older adults in Canada. It found that while 14% reported a mental health diagnosis, fewer than 31% received counseling or treatment in the past year. Among those who had not received counseling or treatment in that time frame, 38% wanted or felt the need for those services. For more on this, we're joined by CTV's Scott Hurst. Scott, this is very concerning. How big is this problem?
Nathan, incredibly concerning. As we know, access to primary care is a problem across the country, particularly for older Canadians 65 and up, as this survey from the Canadian Institute for Health Information is focusing on. You mentioned that 8% of that age population who do not have access to a primary care provider. That equals about 600,000 Canadians who don't have that access to that first point of contact for the healthcare system. And that puts Canada at the bottom of the list of 10 countries who are also part of this survey. And also, timely access to primary care is an important step. when it comes to getting the care that you need. And it shows, according to this research, that it is getting harder and harder for Canadians to have that timely access. From this most recent survey, only about 1 in 4 could get a same-day or next-day appointment when needed. And as you see by this chart right here, it has gotten worse over the past 2 surveys from this Commonwealth Fund survey. And so it is incredibly concerning. Here's more from the Canadian Institute for Health Information.
There are many factors, including a family doctor shortage and some changing practice patterns around how many patients family physicians are able to see. We also see increasingly complex care needs of our older population as Canadians age. And so there are many factors that contribute to this, but we do know how important it is that Canadians can get timely access to the care that they require.
And Nathan, breaking down the numbers a little bit further for Canadians who report having a difficulty accessing primary care, more often than not, they live in rural areas, had lower incomes, had fewer medical needs, of course, and we're also on the younger side versus those 85 and up. And that is concerning, of course, because this survey shows that certain demographics, Nathan, are disproportionately affected.
And what are they hoping to do with this information?
Nathan, it shows that primary care is a significant concern in this country, and it also ranks Canada against those 10 different countries, including the U.S., France, Germany, and the U.K. And in many categories, particularly access to primary care, Canada is at the bottom of the list, and it shows the glaring need for more access to primary care, not just for all Canadians, of course, coast to coast, but particularly for those 65 and up who increasingly have more complex needs.
All right, CTV's Scott Hurst in the CTV National Newsroom. Thank you.
Thanks, Nathan.
All right, switching gears, let's talk about the forecast. Not as hot as we've been, I guess, conditioned to expect over the last few days, but still kind of refreshing.
I think, fair to say relief has arrived. And for a lot of people who've been suffering this week, maybe they don't have air conditioning and it's just been uncomfortable, this is it. It does feel quite nice out there. I had a sweater this morning, actually, and it felt pretty nice just outside with a sweater.
Yeah, it's a breath of fresh air for so many people. And the wet weather, too, it's needed. It's been well over a week since we've had measurable rain at Pearson Airport. We got some this morning, and we are getting some right now. If you look out your window in most parts of the GTA, you are going to find that it is indeed a rainy afternoon. Weather is brought to you by the Presler Law Firm Injury Lawyers. You don't pay unless they win. It's not going to rain all day, but you can expect that the early part now of this afternoon is going to be quite unsettled. Environment Canada also issuing a special weather statement. This is mainly for southwest Ontario, so London over towards Stratford, including Goderich, and south to the Windsor area. Here's what that looks like on the map. So this is warning of heavy rain within some thunderstorms that are expected to continue into the evening hours. I'll show you what that looks like. But first, current look at the satellite and radar. Some heavy downpours in parts of the GTA, especially downtown and west. You've had rain for a good portion of the day now east of Georgian Bay. That is making its way into eastern sections of Ontario. And I'm just going to step over here so you can see that there are a few more thunderstorms starting to develop over Lake Huron and the state of Michigan. So an unsettled day overall today with some drier periods as the day goes on. Don't get too used to that, though, because another disturbance is going to swing through for tomorrow, and this one has the potential to bring us here in the GTA some stronger storms. Do want to point out there's 6 p.m. London, again southward toward Windsor. Thunderstorm activity. Notice how much drier we are, though, in the GTA. Expect it to still be quite cloudy, and we'll hold on to the chance of a shower, but better conditions for getting outside and doing whatever it is you have to do this evening. Let's take you through tomorrow. So we are anticipating some periods of sun tomorrow. If we get that, it's likely to help fuel some potential storms. So there's midday. Chance of scattered showers or storms. Better chance of a line of strong thunderstorms is going to come in the evening hours. So start planning your Friday night accordingly. Have a safe indoor backup place to go if you do have outdoor plans. It looks like we will remain unsettled overnight and into Saturday. Saturday itself brings us some cloudy periods and the slight chance of a shower. But the day is going to improve as it goes on. And then by Sunday, we are into extended periods of sunshine. Here's just a little snapshot of how much rain some areas could be in for. Expect that this is going to differentiate depending on who gets a thunderstorm and who does not. Now, temperature-wise, it is still very hot in Windsor. Look at that, 30 degrees feeling like 40. What a difference compared to us 18 this hour in Toronto, feeling like 22. We don't have to worry about breaking a temperature record today. We would need to soar above 36 degrees in order for that to happen. Overnight tonight, a more seasonal night. 17 is what we're forecasting for a low. Average overnight low this time of year is now 16 degrees. Tomorrow, a little bit warmer. 25 degrees will feel like 32 in parts of the GTA, but we do have that risk of thunderstorms. So plan on it being a sun cloud mix kind of day with the risk of some storms, especially again as we make our way into the evening hours. Here is the 7-day forecast. So let's talk about the weekend. Highs near 27 and 28 degrees for both Saturday and Sunday. Mix of sun and cloud on Saturday, clearing out. Sunday looks nice and bright. Monday, chance of showers. Looks like it could be a generally unsettled day, but the high around 30 degrees. Chance of showers as well into Tuesday, which of course is Canada Day, but I'm hopeful at this point that any showers are going to move out in time for those evening fireworks. That's the 7-day forecast for now. Nathan, over to you.
All right. Thank you, Lindsay. Well, fish fly season is back in parts of southwestern Ontario, and some residents are sweeping, scooping, and swatting the store.
Sounds fun. CTV's Chris Campbell has more on the great outdoors.
They arrive without warning and leave just as suddenly, but when they're here, you'll know it.
We get thousands of them.
You just use the mail and swat around you as you're walking.
The fish fly, or mayfly, is a sign of a healthy Lake Erie, but it also brings headaches to towns along the shoreline.
If it's good for the environment, I'm happy to see them, but they are kind of a pain in the neck.
The good thing is they're only here for a couple of weeks.
They're feeding the environment needs it, but what a mess.
In places like Kingsville and Leamington, the invasion has become part of summer life.
The town's been fabulous cleaning it up. We haven't had any accidents. Some years it makes such a grease lick that the cars go to stop and they go right into the fence down here at Seacliff Park. But for the most part, it's been okay.
I don't know why they use my car as a target, but they do.
With short lifespans and no mouths, fish flies don't do harm, but they do disrupt daily life. Some businesses even adjust hours or cleaning routines during the height of the hatch.
This year seems to really, there's a lot of them.
I don't like it. They smell, and there's no sense in trying to clean it off until they're all done coming here.
The good news, the season usually only lasts a couple of weeks.
When mayflies are thriving and hatching, that's telling you that you have a lot of oxygen in the water, and it basically suggests that things are getting pretty good.
The bad news, we're right in the thick of it.
The one big thing is they smell bad. When they're dead, they smell like fish. We turn off the outside lights at night. We hose off our cars. They're not particularly creepy. They're just kind of annoying.
For now, it's brooms, buckets, and a whole lot of patience.
Free fish flies, bring your own buckets, bring your own truckloads at a time. I'll give you the shovels if you want. You can clean them up on your own first thing in the morning.
Chris Campbell, CTV News.
That's something. Coming up, with the school year just about in the books, we take stock of whether the ban on cell phones silenced distractions or was the signal lost.
As students prepare to wrap up the school year, for many, this was their first without access to their cell phones.
CTV's Scott Lightfoot has more on how teachers and students handled the big change.
It is the last day of school at Humberside Collegiate Institute, and as students sign yearbooks before starting their summer, they're reflecting on their first year without having their cell phones in the classroom.
It was definitely a change because since grade 9, we've been using our phones a lot for school, even when we're not supposed to.
Starting last September, students across the province were prohibited from using their phones during class time. Inside this school, there is signage with clear direction, holders for phones in some of the classrooms, and locked charging stations in the hallway, an effort to keep the kids' attention on the subject being taught.
For the first few months, it was pretty difficult adjusting to it, but then I got pretty adjusted to it, and I actually really enjoy it now.
I mean, in all honesty, we all rely on our phones, so I guess it was a pretty big change at the beginning, but I kind of got adjusted to it, and now
I don't even think about reaching for my phone during classes. I'm kind of used to it.
Well, we knew it was a culture shift for everyone.
Claudine Terrell is the school's principal. She says staff noticed students were more focused during class. She also says they noticed a behavioral shift because the new rules also blocked sites like Snapchat, TikTok, and Instagram from school Wi-Fi.
We saw definitely a decrease in incidences that apply to social media. So last year we had a lot of online cyberbullying. We had a lot of incidences where people were putting things on social media that were inappropriate, and that was reduced drastically this year.
High school students can still access their phones during breaks and outside of class time, and if they use their own data, they can still access social media. But some students say they feel the restrictions change their school experience for the better.
Social media is a huge part of our lives, and teenagers especially. So knowing that we kind of have to take a step away from that, I also think it's important for students to kind of interact in person, not only on social media. So I do think it's beneficial.
When the students return in the fall, the rules will remain in place. But as for whether they will spend less time on their phones this summer, having seen that it's possible.
Honestly, no. I would like to say yes, but it's a no.
Scott Lightfoot, CTV News.
Thousands of avid gamers are expected to flock to Kitchener this weekend for the Call of Duty League Championship.
It's the first time the tournament's being held in Canada, and as CTV's Colton Weens reports, expectations are high.
Less than 24 hours before the first teams drop in, the Kitchener Memorial Auditorium is nearly set for the Call of Duty League Championships weekend.
This is the biggest event we've ever had. We've held 4 or 5 events now in Toronto, always majors. This being the championship, we expected a bigger audience, and we got it.
It's the first time the 4-day esports tournament has come to Canada, featuring 12 teams of the best professional players in the world, competing for a prize pool of $2 million US.
I'm very excited to get it going. This is like the tournament everyone's trying to play for, the one we all look forward to the end of the year. So excited to get in there and hopefully cement my legacy.
Unlike a concert, the stage sits in the middle of the arena, allowing for additional fans to fill the floor, and there's major technology upgrades to make sure the matches run smoothly.
For being a historic venue like this, it's pretty modern. It's up to date. We're having great access. The region has been tremendous.
Organizers explored other venues, but say the odd fit the bill for capacity, and the region of Waterloo's passion for showcasing esports is the perfect fit.
I feel like every year that I've been a part of, it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And when I first joined the league, there wasn't very many Canadian fans. And then over the years, it's gradually just got more and more intense to the point now where we're like selling out venues with just pure Canadian fans.
While floor tickets are now sold out, there are still some bowl seats available, and organizers are expecting around 15,000 people to pass through the Odd over the 4 days. And despite the Odd's first run at a major esport event, Duffy says this could be a sign of what's to come.
Call of Duty's our biggest here in North America, but we also have a League of Legends team, a Valorant team, EAFC, and beyond. I can see us going back to Kitchener many times.
The tournament kicks off Thursday afternoon with the grand finals set for Sunday. Colton Weens, CTV News, Kitchener.
Well, hundreds of people gathered in Barbara Hall Park last night for the annual Starry Night event. The event featuring performances from a number of drag queens as well as DJs. Mary Chow also took to the stage. Money raised by this event supports the 519, Canada's largest LGBTQ2S+ community center.
As fans count down to the Toronto International Film Festival, organizers have announced several new world premieres that will take place at this year's event. CEO Cameron Bailey shared the first 5 titles on the special presentation slate for TIFF's 50th anniversary edition starting September 4th. They include Mile End Kicks from Canadian filmmaker Chandler Levac and titles from directors around the world, including Good News by South Korea's Sung Hyun-byung, as well as Spanish-Italian co-production The Captive by Alejandro Amenabar and Hedda by U.S. director Nia DaCosta. Director Steven Soderbergh will also have the world debut of his new comedy, The Christophers. And speaking of directors, Canada's own Denis Villeneuve has been chosen to direct the next James Bond movie. Amazon MGM shared the news as it looks to reboot the franchise. Villeneuve said he's a die-hard fan of 007 and grew up watching the films with his father. He'll be part of the team figuring out who the next James Bond will be after Daniel Craig turned in his badge following 2021's No Time to Die.
Well, there's some big news for Disney fans who enjoy the company's latest live-action remake of a beloved animated film. The company confirmed today a Lilo and Stitch 2 is now in development. This comes as the live-action remake of the 2002 animated film surpasses $920 million U.S. at the global box office. Lilo and Stitch tells the story of an extraterrestrial who finds himself in Hawaii and the adventures and chaos that follow.
Adam Sandler is heading out on the road for a North American comedy show tour this fall.
It's very discouraging for me.
The actor-comedian will be stopping by 30 cities for an arena tour. Most of them are in the U.S., but local fans will be able to check out the show October 12th at Scotiabank Arena. Sandler has dubbed this the You're My Best Friend Tour, and it's his first since sold-out tours back in 2022 and 2023.
Still to come on CTV News at noon, a warning against putting in a load of laundry and leaving the house. We have more on the risk that a washer or dryer could catch fire. If you have a washer and dryer, it is always best to make sure they're in good working condition and never overload them with laundry.
Dryer fires are more common because of building up of lint, which can clog the vents, but washer fires can happen too and be just as dangerous. CTV's Pat Foran has this consumer alert.
We could have all died.
Chandra Lake of Brampton says it was last fall when her 3-year-old washing machine caught on fire. Her daughter had been doing laundry and was about to leave the house to buy groceries when she noticed smoke coming from the basement. The family called 911 and firefighters were able to extinguish the blaze.
They determined that the drum might have seized and the motor was running and the friction might have caused the fire.
For Lake's family, it was a traumatic experience.
Just doing a load of laundry could have killed everyone in the house.
Before the load was finished, it essentially burst into flames.
Dominic Tetro of Cambridge says his 4-year-old washing machine caught on fire in April. Luckily, his family had 2 fire extinguishers and were able to put out the blaze. He says it's a lesson to never leave your washer or dryer operating unattended.
We're never going to leave laundry alone again.
It is uncommon, although washing machines can catch on fire, they could happen.
According to Ontario's Fire Marshal's office, between the years of 2019 to 2023, there have been 22 washing machine fires and 648 dryer fires in the province. To avoid fires in the laundry room, check the washer and dryer cords for damage. Outlets should have ground fault circuit interrupters. Inspect and clean the lint screen after each load. Check the outdoor vent to ensure it's unobstructed, and always turn the washer and dryer off if you leave home or go to bed.
We want to make sure that we're installing our smoke alarms, testing them monthly with our families, and practicing a home fire escape plan with our families as well.
Both washing machines were LG models, but there's no indication the fires were connected, and LG is investigating. Both families still want answers, but after contacting CTV News, LG gave Tetro and Lake new washing machines.
Thank you, CTV. We appreciate the help.
I am so glad I got in touch with CTV News. I cannot thank you enough for investigating this issue for us.
Pat Foran, CTV News.
A new CAA survey finds many Canadians don't think they need travel insurance when traveling within the country. The survey comes as several reports show more people are choosing to go on vacation within Canada this year instead of heading south. It found 4 in 10 Ontarians traveled domestically without insurance during their last trip. Of those, 43% thought it was unnecessary, while nearly a quarter worried about the cost. Some emergencies aren't covered by OHIP outside of Ontario, including ambulances, dental emergencies, lost luggage, and prescription drugs.
The new report shows housing affordability declined in most major housing markets across Canada last month. According to ratehub.ca, the cost of an average home went up in 8 out of 13 markets. Toronto is in the middle of the pack, with costs rising $3,400 to $1,012,000. That would mean Torontonians need an annual salary of $206,000 to afford an average home. Hamilton saw the biggest improvement in affordability, with the required annual income to buy a home falling to $163,000. St. John's recorded the steepest affordability loss as home prices rose by $8,900, pushing income requirements up $1,700 to nearly $87,000 annually.
Well, he calls it a surreal moment. A 6'7", 20-year-old is the Toronto Raptors' first selection in this year's NBA draft.
With the 9th pick in the 2025 NBA draft, the Toronto Raptors select Colin Murray Boyles from the University of South Carolina.
Murray Boyles averaged 16.8 points, 8.3 rebounds, and 2.4 assists last season as a sophomore forward for the South Carolina Gamecocks. The 245-pound forward says he brings physicality and a willingness to do whatever the coach needs him to do. Here is his reaction after being picked by the Raps last night in New York.
I almost shed a tear, but I try to keep my composure. But, you know, it's surreal. You know, like, I dreamed of this when I was a kid. Like, you never know you're going to be there till you're there, for real. So it's like, it's crazy.
Beautiful. Okay, you got your passport ready?
Oh, yeah, my passport in my book bag.
The 21st pick in the 2025 NBA draft, the Utah Jazz select Will Riley from Kitchener, Canada, and the University of Illinois.
Will Riley was the first Canadian selected in this year's draft. The 6'8" forward from Kitchener was taken 21st overall by the Utah Jazz. He was then traded to the Washington Wizards. The 19-year-old averaged 12.6 points, 4.1 rebounds, and 2.2 assists per game as a freshman for the Illinois Fighting Illini. Cooper Flagg was selected first overall by Dallas. The draft continues tonight with the second round. The Raptors pick 9th again.
The Blue Jays will be going for the series win this afternoon against the Guardians.
Lined into left, a base hit, and that's the ball game.
Last night's game went into extra innings with Cleveland walking it off in the bottom of the 10th for a 5-4 win. Max Scherzer made his first start for the Jays since March. He gave up 3 runs over 5 innings and struck out 4. Kevin Gausman starts this afternoon in the series finale. First pitch is at 1:10.
Bite of the cherry for Alonso Cuello, who lifts it past Coronel, headed right back into the mix, headed on, and that's the answer!
Toronto FC was taking on the New York Red Bulls last night at BMO Field. Theo Cardinaux with a second-half goal to lift TFC to a 1-1 draw with the Red Bulls. It was Toronto's first action since losing at home to Charlotte FC back in May.
Coming up, after drawing customers for more than 5 decades, a popular bakery at St. Lawrence Market is switching ownership. More on the future of an old favorite after the break. A pair of baker brothers who've worked in the St. Lawrence Market for nearly 50 years are hanging up their aprons.
But their famous pea-meal bacon sandwich will continue to delight customers. CTV's Beth McDonnell had a sample.
They're 2 brothers, and they've been behind the counter at Carousel Bakery inside Toronto's historic St. Lawrence Market for decades. Serving those classic pea-meal bacon sandwiches and connecting with countless customers.
Did you pick up the group all the way from Quebec somewhere? Or
no, I just did a city tour.
But at the end of this week, Robert and Maurice Biancolin's full-time jobs running the restaurant will turn part-time. They're passing the torch on to new owners, and come the end of July, the pair are retiring.
There's a time and a place for everything to happen, and it was the right time to say goodbye.
We're going to try to make the best of it and help everybody carry on with the tradition and legacy.
The brothers say the new family taking over the business plan to do things pretty much the same way. Keep the same staff and, of course, keep the same iconic pea-meal bacon sandwich. Tastes great. In 2016, the city named the pea-meal bacon sandwich Toronto's signature dish. A dish celebrities from Catherine Zeta-Jones to Anthony Bourdain and Barbra Streisand all tasted from Carousel Bakery. Streisand even talked about the sandwich at this concert in 2012.
We have hot dogs and sausages. You have hot dogs and sausages. However, we do not have what you call this pea meal bacon sandwiches. that I've heard so much about.
In the 1960s, the brothers' father, a butcher by trade, acquired Carousel Bakery. Robert later joined the business, then Morris. Many stories and memories live in this space. Here are staff in an old CTV promo. CTV News. There is a lot to miss.
We've worked together 40 years. Nobody's been stabbed yet.
I think it's good for them, but I am going to miss them. Yeah, that was part of my highlight coming into the market, was coming here and saying hello and being looked after so nicely all the time.
Before they leave, the brothers hope to see more people they've served over the years.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
A chance to say hi and goodbye to all the people who've enjoyed this culinary experience. Beth McDonnell, CTV News.
I think we're all going to miss it. They taste so great.
We are all craving a pea meal bacon sandwich, and it is the noon hour. Delicious. We're also craving maybe a little more sun today.
Yeah, we might get that later on, but right now it is rain. We'll take one more look at the satellite and radar to show you just how widespread this wet weather is. It is going to clear out as we continue to make our way through the afternoon, so that's some good news. Overnight tonight, we drop to a low of 17 degrees. Tomorrow's high of 25 is going to feel like 32. Happy Pride weekend, Toronto. Here's a look at what you can expect over the next few days, and one more glance at the 7-day forecast, which has Canada Day in view. Nathan and Michelle.
All right, thanks, Lindsay. And that's CTV News at noon. Remember, you can get Toronto's breaking news all day long on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Lindsay Morrison and the whole team here, have a pleasant afternoon. I'm Michelle Dubé.
And I'm Nathan Downer. Be sure to join us later for CTV News at 5 and 6. Have a great day.